A very good morning to you again. I would like to start with my presentation on values and their impact on organizational success. I will start by establishing, perhaps, for some of those who are not so familiar with values, what values exactly are and why they are essential to human and organizational skills, to humans and organizations alike. Well, let's take perhaps a look at this slide. If I can get this presentation to work. Here we go. What are values? We might call them ideals. They can go under beliefs. We can call them views, convictions, assumptions, attitudes, perspectives, our mindset, opinions, notions, creeds, and ideas, perhaps. So, values are at the core of a concept which we call the energy conversion. And what that is all about, I'm going to tell you in this slide. Values make you strive for something in your life. They give you inspiration, they give you energy. Now, what happens if you pair your values with a direction, if you give them a certain direction? Those values become then a force. If you manage to organize your values in a certain way, this force becomes a power. And if you pair your values with certain skills, you accomplish the goals you set yourself in your life. That is the process of energy conversion. However, we can also look at values in a different way. Values act as a decision filter. Now, what do I mean by that? Your values are an integral part of your personality. They make you think and act in a certain way. Whatever questions life holds in store for you, you're bound to answer those questions by consulting your individual set of values. I'll give you an example of how such a decision filter might work in an organization, in a company. For example, a company might ask itself the question, how do we sell our products? Or they might ask themselves, what do we want to achieve? Another crucial question might be, what resources do we use? And how do we put those resources to use? Let's assume that our organization is an investment bank or a real estate developer. Such institutions, such organizations may be characterized by values such as success, power, wealth. Therefore, they possess a decision filter which makes them answer the question about the achievements of their organizations in a rather material way. They would probably say, we want to maximize our profits and we want to maximize our bonus payments, which is fair, by the way. However, let's assume that our organization is a green energy company, which is governed by such values as sustainability or health. When asked about achievements, they will probably say, we want to make a contribution to the planet, or we want to make a contribution to society. You see, that's a whole a different mindset. Both companies have different sets of values, which make them take different decisions and makes them pursue different strategies. Now, let's go to the core of this presentation, which is obviously the question, which values are essential to an organization's success? And on the next two slides, I would like to share with you a couple of findings from two recent surveys, respectively studies, that I did. Success, obviously, is subject to individual interpretation. And on the next two slides that I'm going to show you, we're going to see that employers and employees have diverging views on this subject, what exactly success is. This slide is an excerpt from recent studies on values in the workplace I conducted. Now, what is this all about? I asked employees two questions. First, what is important to you in your working environment? And second, I asked them the question, what is important to your employer? The goal was to establish whether employees and employers share the same values. When both sides share the same values, we speak of value congruence, and that is an indication of high employee satisfaction and of a very strong employee retention. Let's focus on the left slide, the left side of the slide, which lists the top 10 values of employees. These values are very important to employees in their working environment. You can put it differently. This is what employees need in order to do a good job. Now, what did my respondents answer to the question? They obviously hold authenticity in high esteem. Now, that is very important for business leaders. If business leaders manage to get across authenticity, if they behave authentically, I think they have a huge advantage of leaders who do not behave authentically. Justness and honesty is obviously valued highly. Also fairness and health, even before the crisis. This study, by the way, was conducted at the end of 2019 and the beginning of 2020. What comes next is very crucial in the workplace, in the working environment today: autonomy, self-reliance, self-responsibility. That is very crucial to employees nowadays. Also reliability and trust, and what is important to us as social skills practitioners, empathy and humor, two very important emotional factors. Now, let's take a look at the right side. What is important to employers in the eyes of their employees? Now, here we have a totally different set of values. Companies, organizations obviously go for respectability, quality. They expect a whole lot of commitment and dedication from their employees. Responsibility is very important. Reliability, success, ambition, integrity, and the drive to achieve things is very important to employees. Now, at first glance, employees and employers do not have a whole lot in common, except perhaps for reliability. That's the only overlap we see here. So this means that value congruence between employees and employers still has room for improvement. That means that employee satisfaction on their job and employee retention can still be improved. As a side note, I would like to add that the value congruence is not as, or the value incongruence is not as weak as it seems at first glance. It's just that the values that are top of the list of the employees play a lesser role for the employees and vice versa. But overall, we can say that according to my study, there is still a rather good value congruence. So the value gap between employees and employers is not too deep. However, I don't want to go into details because I still have yet another slide for you, which goes to the core of the question, what values matter for organizational success? Now, the left side of the slide shows the results of a large-scale international study done by the international consulting company Deloitte. Roughly 13,000 employees were asked what they think is most important to achieve organizational success. The right side of the slide shows the results of a global survey conducted among business leaders and HR leaders of multinational companies. And this survey was done by the WEF, the World Economic Forum. Those respondents were asked, what human traits and what skills are most important in the modern working environment, will be essential in the short term. I chose to use colors to highlight similarities and differences between the studies. The results associated with soft skills, I marked pink, for example. Technology skills, I marked blue, and expert skills, I marked gray. Now, what does this slide show us, really? This comparison shows us, among many other things, that social skills are more important in the eyes of the employees than it is in the eyes of the employer and of the employers. Expert skills and tech skills are comparatively more important to employers. Now, let's go into the details. The most important value, the most important trait for employees is flexibility. Flexibility contributes most to organizational success, they think. Now, what do employees think with regards to flexibility? As we can see here, flexibility only comes in 9th place. That was put together into a basket with resilience and stress tolerance. So flexibility is more important to employees than it is to employers, it seems. Next up is creativity. Creativity in the eyes of the employees is also very important to achieve organizational success. Also, employers obviously tend to think that creativity, originality, and initiative are crucial to an organization's success. To be tech savvy is high on the agenda for employees. That's number 3 on the left side. And when we look at the right side of the slide, we see that technology use, monitoring and control, technology design and programming are very important to employees, but not as important as to the employee side. Troubleshooting, creating a user experience, which are vital skills for IT professionals. They are not deemed very important. Systems analysis and evaluation is rather unimportant for employers, or not as important as to employees. Expertise is obviously also very important. Let's focus on number 4 on the left side. That is possessing the expert skills for a given job. Now, that is high on the agenda for employers. They think that analytical and innovative thinking and complex problem solving and also reasoning and ideation crucial attributes an employee needs to bring to the workplace in order to contribute to organizational success. Now, rather interestingly for us as social skills practitioners, empathy comes in 5th place. That I marked pink, as I said, because it's associated with social skills, and also inclusivity, number 9, inclusiveness, is associated with social skills. Now, that is rather important to employees. Inclusivity, by the way, meaning that that's getting employees on board who are not with the in crowd at the workplace. So these social skills are really important to employees. However, when we look at the right side, at the employer side, we see that social skills do not really dominate. We see that leadership and social influence is recognized as important. However, when it comes to emotional intelligence, service orientation, or even persuasion and negotiation, that is deemed relatively unimportant. Critical thinking, number 6 on the left side, is deemed as very important, as vital to organizational success by the employees. I marked that green, and also I marked green the courage to challenge the status quo. That's what employees think contributes to organizational success, as we all live in a VUCA world, which is ruled by volatility, uncertainty, ambiguity, and all of these things. So they think that obviously the courage to challenge the status quo is vital to get an organization to tackle its future. Critical thinking is also very important to employers. That's number 4 on the right side. Number 7 on the left side, curiosity and possessing a growth mindset as an employee. That's very important to be able to contribute to organizational success. And that is somehow related to active learning and learning strategies, possessing the ability to develop individual learning strategies. Number 2 on the right-hand side. Those two things are somehow related, and we see that curiosity, learning, is also top of the list for employers. Now, in my last slide, we spoke about value congruence. Remember, value congruence means that the values of individuals, of individual employees, and the values of the organization really go together, which contributes to employee satisfaction and successful employee retention on behalf of the company. Now, value congruence is obviously also very important to employees. They want to work for a company which shares their values. However, unfortunately, for me as a value consultant, values do obviously not play any role whatsoever for employers. Inclusivity, I already touched upon, a very important soft skill nowadays, not so perhaps in the eyes of the employers. And we also spoke about the courage to challenge the status quo. So, in a nutshell, this comparison shows us, among many other things, as I said, that social skills are more important in the eyes of the employees than they are in the eyes of the employers. And expert skills and tech skills are comparatively more important to the employer side. Now, this was my presentation on values and their relevance to organizational success. And I'm happy to take your questions now, and hopefully we'll see each other again at one of these teachers' trainings. My name is Chris Dietrich, and I open the floor to questions.